What are you doing?
Nothing.
What are you doing? You're
Nothing.
making so much noise.
Sorry.
Could you at least mute yourself if you're going to do that?
Okay. Welcome to Hey, did you ever see that movie? I'm your hostess, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely little co-host, Lynn.
I want to kill everyone. Satan is good. Satan is our pal.
You're chanting, Ray. You're chanting. And joining us again, the podcast with a fully packed bong, Pat.
That Ricky throws a hell of a party.
This week we will be discussing the 1989 comedy The Burbs, written by Dana Olson, directed by Joe Dante, starring Tom Hanks, Carrie Fisher, Bruce Dern, Rick Dukeman, and Corey Feldman. As always, this podcast will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it, then come back and listen to the show. If you're listening on YouTube, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share. And if you would be so kind, leave a comment. If you are listening on Apple, please give us a 5-star review. And again, leave a comment. It really helps. Okay, let's do some quick opening thoughts on this one. So this is one of those movies for me that I have seen a million times, literally 100 times. Anytime it comes on, I'll leave it on. It's fine. Great background. Did it hold up to a review? I don't know. Let's find out. Pat, had you ever seen The Burbs before preparing for the podcast?
I have not. This is the first time I've seen it, but I do like the era that Tom Hanks at his age, in the early 80s, when he gets excited and goes off on a rant.
Yeah.
It's like the funniest parts of the movie, because he's all it reminds me of is him in Dragnet with Dan Aykroyd trying to describe to the chief of police what happened in the pit with the giant snake.
Good movie. Good movie.
We
And
should do.
Lynn, we could definitely discuss doing that sometime. Lynn, have you ever seen The Burbs?
Yes, I have.
And have you ever seen Dragnet?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Would everybody like to just give a rewatch score for Dragnet now? We'll move on with our lives.
Here's the thing I would like to say is if you want to talk about Tom Hanks and the rant, you got to see The Money Pit.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the
I
one.
haven't seen that in a long time, but I do remember
Love.
it was one that he went off many times.
Love
That's one I
that
would like
movie.
to do. That's
Yeah,
one
I
I would
love
like
that
to
movie.
do.
We should do that next.
Let's
with the
do
three
it.
of us.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Next. We'll stay on a quick Tom Hanks
Tom
run.
Hanks
Yeah,
run.
well, maybe
Yeah,
not
there you
next.
go.
We're right in the middle of spooky season, but
I don't know.
we'll get there.
That fucking real estate purchase was pretty spooky. Okay. Let's do some quick facts on this one. I don't have a bunch. I'm going to rehash one fact from the Silence of the Lambs episode. Queenie is the same dog used in The Silence of the Lamb, where her name was Precious. She had a long career in the movies. Her other big roles were Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Batman Returns. My second fact is Tom Hanks and Rick Dukeman actually did not get along on set. It was a bit of a problem, but honestly, I thought the on-screen chemistry was great, so it didn't bleed over into the movie, in my opinion. Lynn, do you have any facts?
So I read that this was all being filmed as a writer's strike was imminent. And
Yes.
what ended up happening was they ended up filming the last 20 minutes of the movie after the fact. And Corey Feldman's character was almost completely written out of that last 20 minutes. So he did the God, I love this street line.
Yeah.
And that made him more present in those last 20 minutes because his character kind of disappeared the way they had re-edited it. So that was kind of cool.
Thank God.
He was my favorite character.
He was funny, right?
I fucking
Yes.
hated him.
Oh, did you?
I hated him in this movie.
It's a little bit of a throwaway character, but
We'll get
I don't
into
have a
it.
problem with it.
We'll get into it.
And also, this film was originally supposed to be a spoof of Rear Window, the Hitchcock movie. So I thought that was interesting because you definitely get flavors of that, like when you catch Tom Hanks watching out the window and things like that. So, yeah, a little bit of the flavor.
Yeah. Okay, box office for this one with a budget of $18 million and a box office gross of $49.1 million. This was considered a box office success for the studio. Did you have any more facts, either of you? Sorry.
No, I just read that when Dana wrote the movie or the script, she was basing it on a neighborhood she lived in as a kid.
Right.
And it turns out that every time she talked to somebody about the script, they all said the same thing. Yeah, there's a house like that where my grandma lives. This is just more of an occurrence, which is what made me watch it a second time a little easier.
So this entire film was filmed on the Universal backlot, and the set gets changed from time to time, houses change, but Walter's house, if you go to that cul-de-sac, Walter's house still looks the same. It's the one house that hasn't been changed.
That's cool. Let's get into this movie. I'm going to give you a quick synopsis, and then we'll break this fucker down.
Yeah.
An overstressed suburbanite and his neighbors are convinced that the new foreign family on the block is part of a murderous satanic cult, and they may be right. Okay.
Stay tuned.
To win. Let's do it.
All right. The movie opens at night on Mayfield Place, a cul-de-sac in the fictional suburban town of Hinkley Hills. Ray Peterson awakens to strange noises coming from the house of his mysterious new next-door neighbors, the Klopeks, and he goes outside to investigate. On his way back inside, he sees the cigar-smoking Vietnam veteran, Lieutenant Mark Rumsfeld, watching the Klopeks' house from his bedroom window. The following morning, Ray watches Queenie, the dog of a fellow neighbor, Walter Sesnick, poop on Rumsfeld's lawn. Ricky Butler, a teenage neighbor, is painting his house and watching the rest of the neighborhood. Moments later, Rumsfeld comes out to put up the American flag and accidentally steps on Queenie's poop. He charges at Walter's house, cursing him out before his wife Bonnie can pull him back. Ray watches this all unfold from the window. His wife Carol complains that he's just going to hang around the house his entire vacation when they could have gone up to the lake and relaxed. I love the fact that you get the creepy Vietnam vet watching out the window, but my favorite thing was, as he's walking towards the Klopeks' house, he's on his pretty green grass, and the Klopeks' grass is all gray and dead. And as he puts a foot on it, the wind starts blowing, and it's blowing stuff up into his face. And as soon as he steps back, the wind stops blowing. It's like, it's so cheesy, it's very funny. Des, what did you think?
Yeah, so this movie opens up, right? And we get this introduction to the cul-de-sac and to the neighborhood. And I thought this was really great. I love this. Of course, this is the neighborhood that I always wanted to grow up in. And I noticed something very interesting about this. Each and every character, because it's almost like one of these 80s sitcom montages we get where we meet each neighbor and Queenie. And it's funny, everybody has their own music. Everybody. Fucking go back and watch it. Even Queenie has her own music when they introduce her to the screen.
It's a barking song.
Yeah, it's a barking song. I mean, Rumsfeld gets his. It's really great. It's really great. I don't think I've ever seen it before. Broken down in such a short period. Like they're literally switching music from scene to scene to scene. It's great.
Yeah, and this is like, what, 6-7 minutes long? It's not very long.
Yeah. It's really interesting. The character of Ray, this guy resonates with me 100%. He's nosy. He's a hypochondriac. I mean, this is me. This is who I am.
Oh, yeah.
He vacations at home. I vacation at home. But I'm questioning at this point, after seeing him for a little while, is he on vacation for work? Or is he on forced leave for like a mental breakdown? Because he really feels like something. It feels to me like something happened. And they were like, why don't you take a week or two off? Right? I mean, yeah, he's
actually, yeah.
Yeah, he's more than just tired and, on vacation. It feels a little different to me. Character of Rumsfeld, I fucking love. I love this character. The whole was Corey Haim. He's doing this like overplayed,
Feldman?
bogus. Yeah, he's doing
One
this
of the
overplayed, bogus, like cool guy stoner impersonation. I really didn't like it. It was super, super cringy. And like when he looks over at Rumsfeld's wife and he's like pumping the paint can with a brush, he's like, no tan lines. I'm just like, oh, come on. Every line he delivers, Dad, go, man, the pizza dude's coming. It's just like, Oh, fuck you. That's what I got. Pat, what do you got?
Well, don't sugarcoat it, Des. Tell us how you feel. I liked Corey Haim only I did it too.
Corey
oh my God.
Haim.
I did it too.
No, that's
Corey
fine. In
Feldman.
this role, he is Corey Haim.
Oh, God.
I liked Feldman mostly because he was the observer. He's the one that saw everything and knew what everyone was about. I liked his friends when they came over, and everything he did was to watch the neighborhood. He's pulling lawn chairs out onto the porch with his girlfriend. She's complaining, why don't we go to a movie? Oh, this is so much better than a movie. And it was really funny the way these people acted.
Yeah, but the problem is Corey Feldman and all of his friends, like, would be stereotypical for, let's say, Long Beach, California. All right? Not this fucking neighborhood. Like, no. It's just, it's fucking horse shit.
It's a little cringy. It's true.
It's bad.
Yeah, I give you that.
I think the reason I liked his character is less for his character, but the scenes with him and his friends when everything was taking place during the movie. They're out watching, they're clapping, they're cheering him on, they're rating his fall. Those things made me laugh, and there wasn't a lot about this movie that did.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. It's fine. And I'm trying not to overanalyze this movie either, because that's not what this movie is. You know, it doesn't all have to make sense. Everything doesn't have to fit.
Of course not.
I thought that Corey and his friends were very cringy. I thought the whole thing was overplayed. They all talked like Southern California skater, stoner kids, and this is taking place in like suburban USA, cul-de-sac. It just didn't make sense.
Art Weingartner, who lives on the other side of the Petersons, almost kills Ray while attempting to shoot some crows, then invites himself into breakfast. Ray's son Dave claims to have seen the Klopeks digging in their backyard in the middle of the night. Going outside, Ray and Art go to ring the Klopeks bell, only to have a nest of bees on the porch unleash upon them, and they run into the street screaming. That night, Art, Ray, and Rumsfeld spy on the Klopeks. Ricky and his girlfriend watch them instead of going to the movies. They observe Hans Klopek drive his dilapidated Pontiac from the garage to the curb, then pull out a large, heavy garbage bag from the car, place it in a can, and bang it with a stick. During the night, Ray watches the Klopeks digging in their backyard in the middle of a rainstorm. The following morning, Art runs out to check the contents of the garbage truck as it is collecting the Klopeks can from the previous night. He's soon joined by Rumsfeld and Ray, but their search in hope of finding human remains is futile. Oh boy. Driving the car out with the heavy garbage bag. I gotta be honest with you, we live near a dumpster, and if the bag is heavy, I put it on the car and drive it over. Because why not? I mean, this is only a couple of feet. The guy probably could have made it, but you know, I can't.
Dude, I have literally seen you drive your car shorter distance to the dumpster with trash on it.
It's so true. It's so true. Also, this thing about jumping into the trash can and starting to rip it, like, dude, you missed your chance. Like, yuck. Gross.
So we meet Art here. And
yes,
this, for me, is where the movie kicks into fun mode. All right? I love this character. Even though he's completely over the top and doesn't resemble a real person in any way, he's probably my favorite character. I love his banter, both with Ray and his son. When he's eating and there's chomping and they're nose to nose and they're talking about, you know, the kids seeing him digging in the backyard. What, like grave diggers? Yeah. It's fucking great. And, you know, and his banter with Ray as well. It's always great. He plays a perfect foil to the dry humor that Tom Hanks is bringing to this movie. It's absolutely perfect. This scene with Ray and Art contemplating going over to meet the Klopeks is, in my opinion, probably the best scene in the movie. From Ray's foot going through the porch to the 9 flipping over to 666. It's so good. I love it. The whole neighborhood watching the bee attack. And then we get this super like campy close up, zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out of them screaming. Yeah. Ah, it's fucking super fun. And then finally we get Rumsfeld. reliving his combat days. Soldiers, over here, run to the water, and he pulls this off through the whole thing. I'm loving it. It's super funny. In this movie, it's a comedy first, of course, right? But absolutely. I love when the director, he introduces the Klopeks, and they really are like the perfect horror element for this light, campy comedy, right? It can't be too much. They're monsters. I don't know. They're serial killers? Maybe. Are they grave robbers? Possibly. I don't know what they are, but I love it. And it's fun. And this kid Hans, we get a peek at him. I don't know. He's fucking creepy as fuck looking, right?
Absolutely.
Especially when you get this scene where Ray sees them digging in their backyards feverishly by the moonlight. It reminds me of like a bunch of witches. It's really, really good. We get this scene of Hans smashing the bag into the trash, and he's like viciously doing it, and the look on his face, and oh, it's really good. And if you notice, there is red liquid all over the outside of the garbage can. It's meant to be blood, right? It's not there in the morning, but it's there in the night scene. And then finally, like you said, this comedy relief of Art, Rumsfeld, and Ray all out digging through the trash, pouring the trash onto the street. And the garbage guy's, who's going to clean up all this trash? And Rumsfeld goes, you're going to clean up all the trash because you are a trash man. I fucking love it. I love it. It's
You're
so
not making
good.
friends with the trash man doing that.
Yeah, no. But
Not a good idea. Not a good idea.
Good stuff. Pat, what do you got on this scene?
I thought it was funny watching him drive the trash down to the end of the driveway. It was a little over the top watching him with the ramrod trying to stuff it into the barrel. You wonder what the hell he's doing. And the funny thing is you bring up the red on the trash can only to find out later what it really is or what it's supposed to be. I completely missed the red on the trash can. I was too busy laughing at him stamping down the trash with the
hoe.
The hoe.
Perfect weapon.
It was, and watching Art race out of his house to stop the trash men from picking up the trash because he hadn't gone through it yet was priceless.
Yeah.
Seeing Rumsfeld laying in the back of the truck on his back, looking at the trash man upside down, was priceless. And I want to bring up for any Star Trek fan, one of the trash guys, first time I'd ever seen this actor, Robert Picardo, was in the Voyager series.
Oh, cool.
And I saw his name on the credits, but the first thing I picked up was his voice, because he's got a very identifiable voice.
Awesome. Yeah, good pick on that.
Bonnie Rumsfeld finds Queenie running loose and wonders if Walter went away and forgot to feed her. Ray, Art, Bonnie, Rumsfeld, and Ricky go to Walter's house. Inside, they find Walter's toupee in the kitchen. Noting that the television was left on and a chair was turned over, Art and Rumsfeld begin to worry. Ray collects Queenie and leaves a note for Walter explaining that he's got the dog, an act that is seen by an older Klopek on the second floor with white hair that refuses to answer when Ray tries to hail him. The following night, Ray and Art have a meeting in the Petersons' basement and theorize about Walter's disappearance. The following morning, Rumsfeld and Art write a note to the Klopeks. I know what you've done, and slip it under their door. Art goes next door to tell Ray about it, which upsets him since the older Klopek saw him writing a note to Walter just the day before. As Ray talks to Art, Ray's dog brings him a bone he dug up from under the fence. Art identifies the bone as a human femur, and they both freak out thinking it belongs to Walter. Carol, fed up with all this ridiculousness, insists that she and Ray and the Rumsfeld pay the Klopeks a neighborly visit. Art, intentionally not invited, snoops around in the Klopeks' backyard while the others meet Hans, Ruben, and Werner inside. Later that evening, Ray has a meeting with Art and Rumsfeld and reveals that he found Walter's toupee in the Klopeks' basement the previous day after he had earlier slipped it through Walter's mail slot. The trio agree to investigate the contents of the Klopeks' backyard when the owners leave in the morning. Shout out to Carrie Fisher as Carol. I love her. I'm always going to love her. You know, she's my Princess Leia, but she did great in this role. I think that she's hilarious because she's like the straight man to Ray's crack up, you know?
Right.
Like, Ray's losing his freaking mind, and she's just trying to keep it all together, you know?
So I agree with what you're saying. So you've got Art, right? He is so over the top, camp, and crazy. Like, oh, I'm eating sausage. I'm eating bacon. I'm doing this. I'm shooting crows. It's like he's fucking nuts. But he is literally has to be the comedy other side of the coin to two straight characters, which is going to be Ray and his wife, right? So he's doing double duty against these two characters. And I think that it works perfectly. I love this scene in Walter's house for a couple of reasons, right? We get Rumsfeld breaking in with this fucking little, his little glass pulling tool. And we get this line, a soldier's way saves the day. He's so proud of his soldier shit. He's got everything. He's got every bullshit soldier tool, toy. Like, I love this character for so many reasons. We get Art trying to steal the lighter. Perfect. And Ray, will you please not do that? Will you please not steal our neighbor's items? What's the difference? It's all going to wind up in a fucking estate sale anyway. Oh, it's so fucking good. Corey Feldman holding out the fucking plate of cookies that gets smashed with a swing door. This is fucking great. And this is where the guys start to put together their theory of what happened to Walter, right? They're going to call the police. No, they're not going to call the police. Now, this could be a problem, right? In a different movie. You'd be like, what the fuck? You got to call the cops. But these characters, for me, are set up as bored men living on a cul-de-sac. They have nothing going on. Ray's on vacation. Rumsfeld is clearly retired. He's an ex-military. He's looking for he wants to use all his little tools. He's egging these guys on.
Oh, he's excited.
Yeah. So, I have no problem with these guys teaming up to solve the crime, right? I think it makes sense. They would do it. I also love all these misunderstandings. We get the Klopek seeing Ray writing the note for Walter, leading them to believe he's the note writer. So when they get the note from Rumsfeld and Art, they automatically assume that it came from Ray, right? Perfect. Yes. Then we get the hairpiece getting mixed in with the mail. So when he finds it over there, again, it's a misunderstanding. But as a plot device, it's perfect because even though all these misunderstandings are wrong, they still lead this bogus investigation in the right direction, which is like such a fun, it's just fun the way it works. It's like they're getting it wrong, but they're getting closer and closer to the truth, which I thought was super good writing. I thought it was sneaky good writing, really.
Yeah.
The scene in the Klopeks, again, this is great writing because we finally meet Dr. Werner Klopek, right? So we meet Hans, we meet the brother, and they are super freaks. Like, okay, these are fucking grave robbing killers, right? But then we meet the doctor, super charming, professional, sells himself as a real doctor. And this is meant to be the misdirection, right? It makes me as a viewer think these are just awkward foreigners. They want to be left alone. They're eccentric. This guy's a doctor. And this is where I start looking at all of the neighbors on the block being the actual antagonists, right?
Right.
Because these people are different and they're foreigners. They must be evil. They must be up to no good. I mean, this feels a little racist to me. This doesn't feel good.
Sure.
I thought this was very clever by, again, the writer and the director. Because the first time I saw this, I start double, guessing what is going on here. Are they really the bad guys? No. But yes. So, okay.
I loved it when this is when one of the scenes when Tom Hanks' character goes on his rant. First, I loved how Art thought that there was a struggle in the old man's house.
Yeah.
Because there's a chair turned over. And Tom Hanks is very quick, what's his name? Ray is very quick to point out, well, a turned over chair doesn't make it a struggle. What they did, like you had said, is all the information they got was purely circumstantial and coincidental. And yet they ran in the wrong direction with it because it was more exciting than what was going on in their everyday lives.
Exactly.
It really, it was just really funny the way. And when who was it? Art runs up and Ray's trying to sleep in the chair.
Oh, yeah.
And all I can think of is me trying to take a nap and Des sending me one stupid text after another because I forgot to turn on Do Not Disturb, which I do not forget to do anymore. It's not like I'm trying to sleep here. It's not like my eyes are closed and I'm trying to get to rest. That was the first rant when he started to go over the edge, and I was like, okay, this is what I want to see from Tom Hanks when I see Tom Hanks, because that's when he's the funniest. His voice changes, and he sounds just absolutely hysterical. It was probably one of my favorite scenes.
It is a good one.
As the Klopeks leave for a meeting at the university, Carol and son Dave go to visit her sister, leaving Ray free to explore the Klopeks' backyard. Their first order of business is to disable the Klopeks security system. The result ends up almost electrocuting Art, but ends up disabling the alarm while also cutting off power to the entire neighborhood. Art and Ray then jump over the fence into the Klopeks' yard while Rumsfeld watches the proceedings from the roof of his house, while Ricky invites all his friends to watch too, because this is a fucking circus. After hours of digging and finding nothing incriminating, Ray and Art venture into the Klopek house, where they discover in the basement a giant furnace with the capability of reaching a temperature of 5,000 degrees. Ray then begins to dig into the loose soil that makes up the basement, leaving that there may be... Ray then begins to dig into the loose soil that makes up the basement floor, believing there may be dead bodies buried there. That evening, the Klopeks drive back home, only to reverse out when they see the lights on in their basement. Not long after, Walter returns home, which disproves that the Klopeks might have harmed him. The Klopeks return with the police, and Art tells Ricky to delay them while he goes into the Klopeks' home and rescues Ray. Ray hits a gas line with his pickaxe, because of course he does, and he yells for Art to flee right before the house explodes into flames with Ray still inside. A few minutes later, a disheveled Ray emerges from the flames just as Carol returns. This is fucking nutty. This whole thing, you've gone off the fucking deep end. If you've now, electrocuted your friend, climbed over a fence, gone into the backyard, gone into the basement, you're digging in, you've crossed a line here that you can't come back from.
Yeah. But what's great about all this, right, is, again, I'm trying to watch this like I've never seen it before. Mm-hmm. And it's starting to feel like they've got it wrong, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. They've got this wrong, and I'm starting to buy it. I fucking love these scenes, right? So we get the boys, they're going over the fence. All right. So first of all, he tells them in his den the night before, I found this. We're going over the fence tomorrow. We're not coming back till we find our dead neighbor, right? And then when he brings him into, they're like, I love Art. So what are you, pussy whipped? it's so funny. So they're going to go over the fence. And this is full of amazing physical comedy, this whole scene. First, we're going to get Art getting fried. He falls through the roof. We get the perfect Art shape, the hole in the roof.
Absolutely.
He comes up. Right. His fucking hands are smoking. His nails are black. His molars are sizzling.
The helmet
is fried to his head. His molars are sizzling. I fucking love this. And then we get one of my favorite shots in the movie. Rumfield falls off his roof and discharges his fucking firearm into the neighborhood. It's so fucking good. And these guys are worried about the Klopeks, right? Oh my God.
They're the dangerous ones.
Yes, it's fucking great. And once inside the basement, we get a look at the furnace, which looks so good. It's almost its own character. It's one of these devices you put into a movie that just has enough visual character to be its own thing. I love it. This is the Overlook Hotel, right? I mean, that's a little bit fucking dramatic, but you see what I'm saying.
The furnace was huge.
Now, them choosing not to look inside the furnace. I tried to remember how I felt the first time I saw this. This could have been a problem for some viewers, but not for me, because I am having fun screaming. Look in the fucking furnace. This goes back to last week's movie, right?
Yeah.
Look inside the fucking furnace. And then we get these great lines like Art, maybe you should stop. Nobody digs down that deep. I mean, except for you. And I'm fucking laughing out loud, And here, going to this part of the movie. So we have Ricky having the party to watch the events unfold. And I have no problem with this. Like Pat said earlier, I like seeing it through the eyes of the young teenager, inviting his friends over. I love this street. I get it. It's fun.
You just don't like Feldman.
It's not just Feldman, though. It's Feldman and his friends. They were script way off. This is way off.
So the thing is that I think that this came out around the same time as Married with Children was very popular. And I think that it's kind of like the Kelly Bundy kind of thing. Because if you notice at one point he's wearing like the Michael Jackson jacket that he likes to wear a lot. So I think they were kind of like going for that feel. And I'm pretty sure that Married with Children was based in Illinois. So, I think that's kind of the feel they were going for.
So for me, this is funnier if you take the group of children that were together in License to Drive. You get the two nerdy kids, you get Corey Feldman, he's kind of cool, but he's still kind of suburban and dorky. And you get Corey Haim, who is kind of, cool, fun, but naive. And you get this group of kids together. They feel like they belong on this cul-de-sac. They feel like they belong in this neighborhood. Instead of Corey Feldman and his friends just being too like, oh, dude, pizza guy, man, I'm so fucking stoned. It's like, what? These guys don't belong on this cul-de-sac. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I didn't have a problem with that. And then I remembered that didn't Corey Feldman play Donatello in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Don't know.
He
Didn't
did.
See it.
Okay, he did. And it came out shortly after this because I thought that I had put this together and I actually Googled it. It came out right after this. I felt like this was a fucking like Corey Feldman almost like reading for that role, like in a movie, so he could say, see how I can do this? Because he's like, dude, the pizza dude's coming. It almost sounds like Donatello. It's really weird. And then finally, this house explosion, right? This is fucking epic. They really went for it on this. Like, did you see the explosion in this house? Is this
twice.
practical? Was it practical effects? I mean, it had to be, right?
I think so. I'm not 100% sure. I know it's in the backlot of Universal, but...
Like, they blew that shit to fucking pieces. That explosion was huge. So even though I knew Ray wasn't dead, even the first time I saw the movie, the size of the explosion did plant the seed of doubt. I was like, there's no way he survived that. But of course, he emerges from the explosion. Kind of shockingly banged up, too. His head is fucking all burnt. There's no hair. His eye is swollen shut. I mean, I'm like, holy shit. So, yeah, Pat, what'd you think?
Going backwards, I have to comment. You had to know that Ray wasn't going to be dead. There's no way the main character is going to die. But what I did like was he did not emerge unscathed.
Yes.
Seeing his clothes torn to shreds, seeing his face all wrecked and his eyes swollen shut, that was classic and perfect for the scene. Stumbling out, he's got a concussion. He mentioned one of my favorite lines, "You cut your hair." I like it. She's had short hair through the entire movie. But he's so wrecked. You cut your hair.
It's a great line.
And she doesn't even skip a beat. She doesn't question why he's saying that. She just hugs him. Laughed my ass off.
Yeah. It's funny, though. So you're thinking about, like, how could he have escaped that? Like, there's really no way unless maybe he climbed into that fucking iron fucking furnace and shut the door. Like, it's almost like the way Indiana Jones survives the nuclear blast in a nuclear blast tower where he climbs into the refrigerator. Like,
because
that's
it's
all
lead-lined.
Yeah, that's all I got is he got into the lead-lined furnace and fucking rode out the explosion because he had that fucking gas pipe up his ass.
Oh, yeah.
So that wasn't going to work out for him. So, Lynn, keep this thing going.
I got to make comment. One of the first times I laughed, when Ray is trying to climb over the wire fence.
Oh, so good.
He's standing on the wooden fence and he's lowering the step ladder. He falls off classically. He gets up, and when the camera's not on him, the camera pans to the fence and all you hear is, "Throw me the tools." And here comes the pickaxe over the fence. You hear it hit Ray's head, and the two kids are laughing their asses off.
It's so
that
funny.
made me laugh out loud. Of course, I was high, and I had to rewind it like 3 times because it made me laugh so hard.
Yeah,
I couldn't let the scene go by without that.
I was also high and also laughed. Another line that I thought was really funny, and this movie's full of them, full of great lines, is when Rumsfeld is on his roof, right, and he is like the eye in the sky coordinating the mission over the fence.
Yes. Red Rover.
Red Rover, send Art right over.
Oh, that was beautiful.
And then Red Rover, send Ray right over. It's fucking great. And then he pulls out his little box of animal crackers.
Oh, God, yes.
It's fucking awesome. Awesome.
The scene with with Rumsfeld on the roof, all I could think of was Eugene and your callback. Yeah. Because what happens in the beginning of the movie when Carrie Fisher says, before somebody sets himself on fire or falls off a roof, and here comes Rumsfeld falling off the roof.
Yep. Yeah. And Ray setting himself on fire.
Oh, that was it was beautiful. I'm like, now, I've only watched this movie twice in a row. First time I was busy doing something, and it really didn't grab my interest. But I watched it a second time, so I'd actually be kind of prepared for this. And there were things, as you bring them up, that make me think back to, I might actually watch this movie again.
Yeah.
Dude, and on another funny line was, so Corey Feldman is standing there with this other cool buddy. When Rumsfeld falls off the roof and the gun goes off, he goes, "Excellent." Fucking funny.
That's why I said I liked that group, not because of the way they were cast, but they was there specifically just to watch the antics of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And they found it more entertaining than anything else that their age group could do.
Yeah. All right. So, Lynn, keep it rolling.
Art talks to an officer who explains that Walter had a medical problem and his family took him to the hospital. While away, Walter had made arrangements for the Klopeks to pick up his mail. When Ray had previously slipped the toupee back through the mail slot, it got picked up with the mail in the newspapers. Ray has read charges against him and ignores them in favor of admiring Carol's new hairstyle. Ray then snaps and gives his "we're the lunatics, not them" speech before lunging at Art and then throwing himself into an ambulance on a gurney. Werner Klopek joins Ray in the ambulance a short while later. Werner, thinking Ray must have seen the skull of one of his former neighbors in the basement, attempts to murder Ray to collect his skull too, revealing that Art was right all along about the Klopeks. Hans assumes the role of the ambulance driver, but loses control when Ray grabs him and crashes into a house. The gurney, with Ray and Werner aboard, rolls out of the ambulance and hits the Klopeks' car, popping the trunk. Ray makes a citizen's arrest on the would-be murderer as Ricky notices the large selection of bones in the Klopeks' trunk. The Klopeks are then arrested, and the charges against Ray are dropped. The end.
Nice.
I love that they set you up through the whole film to think that this is... They're wrong. Ray's wrong. Art's wrong. And that at the very end, they're actually right. I love it.
Yeah. So I love this ending, right? It's total misdirection through exposition between the cops and Art and the detective and Ray, right? Like it's the end of the movie. They're going to give us this quick exposition dump twice. He's going to double down on it. And then... he triples down on it, the director, when he has Art screaming at Ray. Ray screaming at Art, this isn't their fault. This is our fault. We're the lunatics. And you're like, okay, that's it. It's legit. This is the end of the movie. They were the antagonists the whole time. The foreigners were fine. But we only find out in the very last scene.
However,
they actually had it right the whole time. And that was, for me, the fun of the movie. I was like, oh, there it is. So, yeah, I had a lot of fun with this rewatch. I thought the movie held up. I thought it was a lot of fun. I loved the ending. Pat, what'd you think?
The ending of this, there were just so many things that I enjoyed about it. Watching Ricky and the gang applauding and giving thumbs up. And you get the line that I started with, boy, that Ricky knows how to throw a party, as the house explodes.
So good.
I mean, it was stitched together so well. Am I the only one who didn't know that the ambulance rode into Art's house?
No, I saw that.
Because I said to myself, and I first saw this, I'm like, whose house was that? And then you realize it's Art's house. And the look on his face, not because the ambulance went through the house, but because his wife was home. You didn't even know he had a wife.
So good.
Oh,
So good.
it was brilliant. And again, I got my dose of Tom Hanks when he goes off in his rant about how they're the lunatics and he's charging Art. He's going absolutely postal, ready to just kill Art. It was a great ending, and you've got to like what's it called? The fourth wall, when Corey Feldman looks right into the camera. I love this neighborhood, and walks away. He had, I don't know why, but he continued to fondle that piece of pizza in his hand until he was off screen. Did you see that?
I did.
Two or three times he brings the piece of pizza in his hand into camera view. Then he turns, and again, he's like raising his hand, playing with the piece of pizza. I'm like, I was waiting for him to throw it at someone.
Did you notice how many pizzas the delivery guy brought?
Oh, God, yes.
There must have been 25 pizzas there. It was fucking funny. All right, I think we've done it. We've broken down the Burbs for you. If you guys got nothing else, we will head over to the recasting couch, and then we will spew some alternate endings. And
All
we'll get
right.
us started. So I would replace, surprisingly, Corey Feldman. And I've got a great replacement for him. Have you guys both seen the Austin Powers movies?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so I would replace him with Seth Green, and think Scott from Austin Powers. That's the perfect amount of cool kid, but still has the suburban kind of mousy flavor. Like Seth Green would have been perfect in this role.
Yes.
So that's what I got. Delyn, what do you got for a recast?
Okay. I am recasting Art, and I have the best recast ever.
I don't know.
Are you ready for this?
Oh, yeah.
John Ritter.
Oh, it's fucking great.
Oh, Jesus.
That's fucking
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Can you
Holy
imagine
shit.
that role with John Ritter? Like
Holy
how
shit.
his physical comedy and
Yeah.
his looks and it would have been perfect.
I
Perfect.
think I
always been a
got a
big-
better one.
Always been a big Jack Tripper fan. That's what I
Yes.
would imagine, the Jack Tripper. Go ahead, Pat. What do you got?
Okay, I'm gonna recast two characters, and only because I didn't want to recast one without the other, because I thought their chemistry would be great. I would recast Tom Hanks with Bill Murray,
Yep.
and I would recast Rick Dukeman with Rick Moranis.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean Rick Moranis. Yeah, it's interesting.
See, it's hard to see him in that role because he's so much smaller than Rick Dukeman, but I'm just seeing him from a Ghostbusters character where he was just so gawky and just weird. He was just weird.
I could see the foil being either Dan Aykroyd the way he played it in Neighbors, or Jim Belushi the way he played it.
That would even have been better.
Yeah, or
Bill
Jim
Murray
Belushi.
and Dan Aykroyd. That would have
Yep.
been good.
I would
had
like
thought
that.
of that.
Like Vic, that's that sort
Yes,
of character.
yes.
Or John Belushi, kind of like Bluto in Animal House would have been a decent play on that as well.
I can see that.
All right, let's do some alternate endings, then we'll score it and we will bank it away. I've got a really good alternate ending for all of you today.
As if we'd end the movie like that. Yeah.
Let's do the Scooby-Doo ending.
Good call.
So, the movie ends as it always does, and Ray is in the back of the ambulance. Dr. Klopek gets into the back of the ambulance with Ray and injects him in the neck with an anesthesia that paralyzes him and prevents him from screaming out, but does not render him unconscious. He then cuts his head off with a scalpel to take his skull for his collection. Ray helplessly watches in silent horror as he hacks his head off with his tiny scalpel blade. Just as Dr. Klopek removes Ray's head, Carol opens the ambulance door and sees Dr. Klopek holding Ray's head up by the hair. She screams bloody murder as the movie fades to black. That's
Get
what I
help.
have. That's what I have.
Get help.
Okay, Dylan, what do you got?
It's really close to my alternate ending because I'm sure you read like I did that Ray was supposed to die
No,
in the
I didn't.
screenplay. Okay, so initially the original screenplay had Ray dying at the end.
Oh, okay.
And they changed that because it was Tom Hanks. And Tom Hanks had just done Big and he was a big star.
And you can't
And
kill
they-
off the star.
Yeah, and they also edited this movie with Tom Hanks being the star. It was originally more of an ensemble situation. So my alternate ending is, in my ending, Werner Klopek climbs into the ambulance with Ray. He is successful in injecting him, killing him before the red-headed stepchild drives away with them both. Later, we see the Klopeks moving into another neighborhood where a skeleton with gauze wrapped around his head is seen being buried in the backyard.
Oh, I fucking love that ending.
I like
the best
that.
one you've ever done.
I like that.
That is the best ending
very
so
good.
far.
Thank you.
Nice.
You might like this one.
All right, Pat, let it rip.
This is going to base off of nothing to do with Klopek in the ambulance.
Okay.
This is all based off of Ray getting furious with Art, trying to kill him, trying to lunge at him. The cops telling Art that the doctor is a respected pathologist and explaining why their neighbor, the owner of Queenie, was away. And this is what I have. They get arrested because of all the charges, because the Klopeks actually are innocent. And they're committed to a psychiatric hospital where Ray is yelling at Art from the cell across the hallway.
That's pretty good.
I like that. That's funny.
That's pretty good. I think Delin
Delin's is good.
Delin
Delin's
got
is
it
the
this
dark
week.
version. Mine is the funny version because as it fades to black, all you can hear is Ray screaming at Art.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. But Delin's really sets this up for the Burbs.
The best
too.
of the three. The best of the three.
The Burbs too. You know, like I'm seeing the
Yes,
sequel with that.
There you go. There you go.
All
I
right.
can deal with that.
Let's do some quick rewatch scores and final thoughts. So I had a ton of fun watching this one. Super campy. I mean, super campy. But it's one of those movies I can watch anytime. It's not perfect, but it's a classic for me. So my rewatch score is going to be 3.47. Great movie. Delin, what do you got?
So I don't like it quite as much as you do, but it was fun. It's a fun watch. Definitely funny, not really scary, but you know, that's not really what you're coming to the Burbs for. I'm going to give it a 2.255.
All right, and Pat, what do you got?
I was actually only going to give it a 2 because I watched it twice.
Point for each
But-
time?
Yes. But as we're doing this podcast, you're bringing up scenes that I had forgotten about, which added to the scenes that I already liked. So to cut this short, I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Nice, I like it. I think that the system worked this time. I think this is going to be right where it belongs. Delin, please calculate those scores and tell us where it lands on the Hey, Did You Ever See That Movie list.
Okay, so once we parse out the numbers, it is 3.075, which puts it at number 67 on the list. It is right below Trick or Treat, which is the Sammy Kerr one, not not the Little Sam one, and right above Heat.
Okay, I'm not sure this is better than Heat.
Probably not.
I've got a question. Which Trick or Treat movie is higher?
Hold on. Jeez. The Trick or Treat, not the Sammy Kerr one. Trick or
Gotcha.
Treat is at number 13.
Gotcha.
And Trick or Treat, the one with Sammy Kerr, is way down at 66.
Okay. I would like to apologize for the jet engine next to Pat. He is sitting next to his noisy broken refrigerator. So.
That damn thing turned on when I turned it almost off. I just
That's
realized
okay.
it.
Dude.
Jesus.
All right, that's it. So next week we will be reviewing Hell House with Tony as we continue our Halloween month and a half. All right.
One month is just not enough. There's a lot
No,
of
not
scary
for those who
movies
love
out there.
Halloween.
That's funny. All right. And if you like hair metal, you like glam rock, you like all that shit, go over and check out Violent Vinyl Radio, our sister podcast. We broke down Poison's Look What the Cat Dragged In last week. It was a lot of fun. And Lisa is going to provide you with everything and anything you'd ever want to know about the band Poison. So you'll leave there with a college degree on Poison. So Till next time, I just have one question for you. Hey, did you ever see that movie? See you next time.